G'day, it's Nicola here. I've got a case study for you called Generation Jumping. It's a legacy memoir by Steve Beal Senior, and it's taught me that loss doesn't necessarily mean someone is lost. The show today is brought to you thanks to the Forever Young Autobiographies membership, which includes courses, community and coaching. Stick around because I can give you first month for free. I'll have details towards the end of the show. Now, the full title of this book is called Generation Jumping, Losing Those Who Are Not Lost. And it's really a collection of family stories. And I'm going to go over a little bit about what it's about and how Beal came to write it. And then he's got some fantastic tips for us for our own life story projects. But first, a little bit about Beal. He grew up in New Hampshire in the USA. His family's from New Brunswick in Canada, which he says is like his second home. But he's got 6 kids. He loves sport and speaks and writes with a pastoral voice. Now, this memoir really begins back in time when he's 17 and he attends his grandmother's funeral, which he said ended up being a bittersweet celebration. But then a bit further on in his life, his uncle Carl dies suddenly, and there's this real void in the family, and he vows to forge legacy following his uncle's death. A bit later, his father dies, and this really does hit home. It's a real loss for Beal, and it sets him on this urgent mission to write this memoir. So how did he write it? How did he get it done? Well, he says he felt inspired firstly by a friend who'd written a book, and he already had quite a few notes. So he actually quit one of his part-time jobs, so gathered his eulogies, gathered some notes, and only told a few people who was writing it, and it took about 20 months, a bit under 2 years. So from 2024 to late in 2025. So it's just come out, he's done a fantastic job. But his plan of attack when doing the drafts, was to commit to 1 sentence a day. And I love that because, 1 sentence often turns into more than that, and before you know it, you've got quite a lot down on the page. And Beal said he worked chronologically through his stories, and he readily admits that it wasn't his best writing, but he did it. Really high level thinking about the project, not individually the quality of the writing. He's had that mission, that momentum to get it done. He said, of course, there were difficult bits. Essentially, that part about writing his father's death was very, very hard. He said it was like the last thing he wanted to do. So his strategy was that he skipped to the end of the memoir and wrote the ending, and then circled back and was able to then have more clarity on how to write the chapter about his father. Now, there was a lot of rewards too when he finished this book. He said it was great to celebrate with his wife and his family, but also to give his mum a copy of the book. He said there was definitely tears. It was just very emotional, very memorable, because she'd helped him fact check it, and he actually didn't tell her that he was writing it for about the first year. So, kept it under wraps. And also, his Uncle Carl's wife wrote him a letter of thanks at Christmas time. So that was really memorable too, heartwarming. But now let's move on to the tips he'd like me to share with you. There's quite a few, or there's a few here. First was to be honest and optimistic in your writing. Always be optimistic that you can do this, you can see it to the end. Number 2 was write to remember and remember to write. Now, memories are funny things. I've talked about these. Obviously they're deep down in your mind, some of those older ones, but as you start to remember them, to recall, they bring up others. It's like stirring up the bottom of a dirty pond or something like that. It sort of rises and gets them circulating to the surface. So that's a really good tip. You'll be amazed at what will come up. And finally, Beal says, just enjoy writing. It really is a joy to write. He said sometimes, you might not want to do it. It's like doing a workout or a sports training. You kind of resist it, but then once you get into the groove of it, it can be difficult, but sometimes you wish that it didn't come to an end. You hadn't got to the end. And I think that's the sentiment that he really did come across. So there you go. That's a quick case study on capturing a family's generation of stories, generation jumping. I've gone over what it's about, how Beal wrote it, and his tips for us. And you can get a full article on this topic over at my website. Go to foreveryoungautobiographies.com/generation jumping. And while you're there, I'd love for you to leave a comment or send me an email to foreveryoungautobiographies.com/contact. Now, Beal mentions, about he still feels like being the kid at the kids' table at some of these family events. And I'm wondering, do you have a memory from being young when you're with extended family? Was it Christmas, was it Easter time, or a family get together? Do you have a memory of being the kid or being at the kids' table? I'd love for you to share and let me know. I think that would be really interesting. Now, before I sign off, I mentioned the Forever Young Autobiographies membership. You can get a free month trial. Go to foreveryoungautobiographies.com/membership. So in this membership, I've packed in my decades of journalism experience. You've got video lessons, you've got live support, you're going to get fast track bonuses, and of course you get your community calls, lots and lots of value, and I encourage you to take up that first month free. So go check it out. I know it's going to be helpful in your life story creating project. I'll be back again soon with another topic, and it would be amazing if you could follow, subscribe, like the show, share it with a friend. And until then, happy writing.